Coming up in today's video, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about some bad news for WWE SmackDown. This is where things get really interesting, by the way, with SmackDown, because this is not the first time we're going to be talking about this in recent months. But WWE SmackDown is on a decline. We're going to talk about the reasons why. And also, we're going to talk about an AEW injury. And we are going to talk about TNA and how some of those stars feel about their partnership with WWE NXT. And it's a very interesting video. So guys, with that being said, make sure you watch this in its entirety. Let's get right into it. This is the Ango Show. All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is Ango. If you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button. I want to kick things off with an AEW injury. More specifically, Ishii is out of action. He has suffered a dislocated right shoulder. We have no idea when he'll be back. The injury took place on the October 22nd episode of AEW Collision. This was his match that he had against Pac. The show aired on October 25th, and obviously now it's November 5th. The man is still out of action, which is really crazy. But basically, NJPW was the one who confirmed the injury, and they came out with a statement. Now, this is very interesting, too, and this is one of the big reasons I want to talk about this. New Japan Pro Wrestling is the company who I think you guys know at this stage of the game. They are the ones who have definitely, shared Ishii with AEW, but he also works for New Japan Pro Wrestling. This notice did not come from AEW, which is why this is such a strange situation, because Ishii obviously works for both companies, but he's contracted to both companies. But New Japan came out and said, hey, listen, he's going to be missing action on many of the upcoming events. The return has yet to be determined, so we have to wait for that. They obviously apologize to fans for him missing action, and then they wish him a fast recovery. But obviously with Tomohiro Ishii, he's part of the conglomeration. He's doing stuff on AEW television, and AEW is not the one coming out with a statement, which I found rather interesting. Now, thankfully, this doesn't seem like too serious of an injury, which is a good thing, but obviously we care about the health of the performers in the wrestling industry. As you guys know, AEW and WWE, all of these companies, really, they have this responsibility for the safety and wellness of their talent, right? These are the people competing for them. And obviously with Ishii, what makes it such an interesting situation too is it's not like he is this pivotal part of AEW television. It's not like he's in some massive storyline where he's absolutely needed, but that doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that he's hurt, right? I actually like Ishii on AEW television. I don't know what it is about the way he's presented on there. And obviously, he is a little bit of an older talent and he's a big, long-time vet, but part of me wishes he could kind of go after some singles gold in the company. I like the idea of the fact that he works with New Japan, also works with AEW, and I like the fact that he's, actually really skilled at wrestling. And I like the idea of him maybe going after the international championship, or, well, now it's the unified championship. But of course, this is where things kind of become weird because he's kind of stuck in the conglomeration thing, and that's more of like a comedy thing, sort of. It's like a weird alliance, in my opinion. Obviously, I just want Ishii to be healthy. I did find it weird that AEW didn't put out a statement, but New Japan did. But obviously, we'll see kind of what happens there and obviously how AEW moves forward. But more importantly, hopefully he comes back healthy and ready to go. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit more juicier in this video because we have to talk about how TNA talent feel about NXT. And I thought this was really dope because O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Henderson, they have a show. It's called the No Contest Wrestling Show. And basically, they did this interview with Mike Santana, who is now the newly crowned TNA World Champion. And maybe you guys forgot about this because TNA hasn't been airing new episodes of Impact on Thursday, which has been a real shame. But Mike Santana was talking about this, and he was breaking it down, basically saying when all of this NXT talent were winning the belts, the locker room really took it personally. He said they definitely weren't jokes. Everybody was straightforward and pissed off, especially the original core guys like me, Eddie Edwards, Moose, Kazarian. We were like, yo, we have to change this. He admitted that basically seen other people win the TNA belts really stung. And they all kind of took offense to it, but then it kind of motivated them. And, this is where things get interesting, because I think for a lot of people, they see this partnership, and I think wrestling fans immediately jump to conclusions that WWE is burying TNA, which that hasn't happened. And we can't sit here and look at the numbers and act like WWE's influence hasn't been helpful to TNA. And take it from a guy like me who has been watching TNA since the very beginning of the company, through every era, through everything. And listen, Anthem is doing great stuff now, but from 2018, 2019, 2020, I've said this before, the Pursuit era, Twitch TV era, Destination America, Pop TV, we suffered through all those. They didn't have TV distribution that was good at all. Like, it was worse than Access. I mean, for crying out loud, they had to put their show on Twitch. So we suffered through those eras. There was times where they couldn't sell more than 200 tickets to an event. We're not going to sit here and act like what they're doing isn't impressive. It has been incredibly impressive. Even prior to WWE jumping into bed with TNA, TNA was starting to kick things off and actually doing good stuff. Impact went to TNA, and next thing you know, they have this partnership now. It's been very, very productive and very helpful to the TNA show, the TNA roster. So no, I don't believe WWE is burying TNA talent. But I think this is a result of Carlos Silva and TNA looking at it from the lens of saying, listen, man, we will benefit from having WWE involved taking our championships. And the best part about this, in my opinion, I'm going to shoot it straight here. Mike Santana winning was the greatest thing that can happen. Another thing that ended up being really beneficial to TNA, maybe the Invasion storyline getting dropped was actually a good idea. Instead of the Invasion gimmick, they went to the Showdown gimmick. I think now you could continue the partnership and just have a lot of benefits to it. Personally speaking, I think there is a really good benefit of them being partnered together. And listen, maybe Mike Santana retains the belt and retains the belt again and retains the belt again, but then maybe he eventually drops it to another WWE talent, and then somebody from TNA gets it back. My point that I'm making is this is a partnership where they've seen the benefits. We can't argue against that. We cannot debate against that. That is not something that I could fathom, the idea that they're not benefiting. They are greatly benefiting from it. But yes, it does 100% make sense for talent to be frustrated, to take it personally. 1,000,000%. It just makes too much sense. And that brings us to our final topic of the video, ladies and gentlemen. WWE SmackDown has now suffered their worst ratings of all time. Yeah, again, actually, not the first time we've talked about this in recent months, but the October 31st episode of SmackDown had earned under 1 million viewers, 933,000 viewers. This was a drop from 1.147 million from the week before. However, SmackDown did finish number 1 on all of TV, which is great. And listen, there is going to be a good excuse here, right? If you want to defend WWE, you can use the argument that it was on Halloween. And that's very valid and that's very fair. However, why are we not talking about the conversation that needs to be had here? WWE, their viewership is hit or miss between their programs. And what that comes down to is consistency. And we were talking about this on the live stream yesterday here on the Ango Show live at 12 p.m. Eastern. The way WWE is, the way they produce their shows, the main roster shows, Raw and SmackDown, they do not have anything on TV that is truly making people stay glued to their seat. That's the reality. And I see this from my own point of view. Granted, yes, Halloween is it's a holiday. Not a lot of people celebrate it in America. Some people do, some people don't. But WWE is a family-friendly program. And that's where you can make that argument that Halloween obviously kicked their ass. But the reality is, if WWE was producing well enough TV, if they were producing really, really exciting storylines that you just simply can't miss, people would be tuning in. And keep in mind, this was before Saturday night's main event, so maybe Saturday night's main event did enough to get people back on board with the WWE product. But we are looking at a territory of SmackDown having less than 1 million viewers. It's very interesting to think about. Keep in mind, SmackDown is still on linear television. They are still on USA Network. So that is something to factor in. And I can't speak for USA Network. I can't speak for TV executives. Obviously, they're aware that it's a holiday. But you have to wonder if you're proud of the product that SmackDown is putting out. And I don't know what the solution is. Maybe doing a brand split, a draft, switching up the rosters a little bit, freshening things up a little bit. But there used to be a point in time, not that long ago, where people were glued to their seat and they were saying, I can't miss SmackDown. Now people are missing SmackDown. Take that for what it is.